We're all about turning a crappy situation into something positive.
$250,000 of credit
I
card debt.
still remember the day when no one turned up.
Throw it in the garbage and start from scratch.
I could give myself a chance, so I started something.
I mean, I think that counts as from poop to gold.
Welcome back to From Poop to Gold. I'm your co-host, Benton Crane. Today I'm joined by Scott Simson. Welcome to the show, Scott.
Thank you for having me, Benton.
So Scott is the CEO of Video Marketing World. He also has a family YouTube channel that has north of 300,000 subscribers, and he is a serial entrepreneur. So we're going to dive in a little bit and find more about Scott and his background, and we're going to uncover what his poop to gold journey was.
Awesome. I love it.
So tell us a little bit about what you're up to right now.
Okay, yeah, so I'm the CEO of Video Marketing World, and our conference is dedicated to helping business owners, entrepreneurs, marketers learn how to use video to increase exposure, gain leads for their business, really just increase their bottom line. And we have an awesome time doing it. It's phenomenal.
Very cool. And how about the family channel? What goes on your channel?
So our family channel, we started as a motivational channel. My wife and I wrote a couple books in 2010 and 2011, and so I used to go and speak on the principles in these books, very motivational and success-oriented in nature. And in 2014, I realized I can be reaching a far larger audience by focusing my efforts on doing video online. And so we started YouTube in 2014, and then that just kind of morphed into this family channel. And now we play games with their kids, and it's really fun. But I really love the education side of things, and so that's where Video Marketing World came in. It kind of filled my need to get back into educating and helping people solve problems and realize their true potential.
Okay, so I want to dive into your background here in just a minute, but before we do, I want to talk a little bit about the dynamics of having a family channel. So
okay.
There's a lot of successful family channels out there, right?
There are.
Mom, dad, kids, everyone are involved, and they're super engaging, right? It's fun for us as viewers to get to kind of, see a day in the life. So
yes, yeah.
But talk to me from the perspective of what's it like to be raising a family in such a transparent environment.
So from the beginning, we've always tried to kind of segment our YouTube life from our personal life. And so there's a lot of things that we just don't share. So really, we kind of give people a glimpse of what it might look like as being a part of our family, but we don't give them the entire picture. And we do that really for safety, and we do that because there are just things that we want to hold on to for ourselves that we don't want other people to be involved in. Sometimes we argue. We're like every other family, and so we don't share those things because we just don't feel like it's necessary to bring negativity to our platform. And our entire goal with everything always was to leave people feeling positive. And leave people feeling like, like we would be a good example to somebody who maybe doesn't have the best example of what a healthy family dynamic looks like. And really, when we first started, we used to get messages all the time from people who are like, this is happening in my family. I'm so glad that you guys are doing this, and I feel like a part of your family. And that's really why we did it. And then we just kind of grew from there. But we always try to not show absolutely everything, every aspect of our life.
What are some of the unexpected challenges or unexpected side effects that have come along with your family channel?
Yeah, so we've had some weird things happen. We've actually had I don't know. We've had people who've kind of maybe gotten a little bit too enthusiastic about feeling like they're part of our family, and so we've gotten some weird messages sometimes, and some weird, just some weird stuff has happened that way, and that's kind of been a little bit of the negative side. But we've always felt like I look at it this way: politicians they deal with this stuff every day. But because they believe in their message so truly, so deeply, it resonates in their soul, they continue to do what they're doing because they feel like they're doing good work. And so we decided early on that no matter what, I mean, I can't say no matter what, but really like we're going to continue doing this because we feel like it's good for our audience, and we feel like we're putting good out into the world.
Absolutely. Now, you guys have achieved a pretty high level of success, and we know that all successful people have had to overcome some pretty tough obstacles to get there. So let's dive into your backstory a little bit. Tell us about the journey.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so like I said, I've been an entrepreneur my entire life, and I realized, I'm kind of an out of the box type of thinker, always have been. When I was a kid, there were kids doing lemonade stands on the corner, and I was the one who had a mobile lemonade stand that I would take to people. But not only that, is I took a jar. I remember one time I took a jar of my mom's peanuts, and I would give them to them first, so their mouth would be all salty, and then they would ask me. It would be like, "Yeah, it's $5 for a cup of lemonade. You want some?" So it was like I always kind of understood that there was.
Did you really get $5 for it?
No. I don't. It was probably like 50 cents or 75 cents, but so it's like I knew how to get people to ask for what I had to offer. So when I got married to my wife, we kind of naturally transitioned into wanting to become business owners, and we had a lot of failures. We had we would start businesses, and for one reason or another, they wouldn't work out. We started
we call those our not-for-profits.
Exactly. I call them my Harvard education because I spent a whole lot of money, but it was like it was just throwing money out the door as I was doing it. So we had our final failure in 2000. It was 2009. The recession hit. We were doing okay before the recession. The recession hit, and then we started a business to compete with. This is so funny, like saying it now. Compete with Redbox.
Okay.
So we bought a bunch of these blue boxes right when Redbox came out, and
I think I actually remember seeing one of these.
yeah, we had them.
What was the name of it?
It was called Mega Movie Box.
Mega Movie Box.
The
name
were,
doesn't ring a bell, but I do remember seeing a blue box at some point.
We had them all over the place. But what happened was being young, we didn't cast projections very well. We didn't quite understand everything that went into spending money on product and then selling it at a higher rate we just didn't understand the principles of finance in our business. And so that business failed and ultimately left us with a massive amount of debt. And so over the next couple of years, we really had to crawl our way out of rock bottom and dig our heels in and do things that we wouldn't normally do because they produce the results. One of the biggest principles that I ever learned from business, from my business failures, was do the work that matters, not the work that keeps you busy. Because it's so easy to just be like, I'm going to shuffle these papers in this file cabinet, and then, oh, look, it's 5 o'clock, time to go home. Where I should be on the phone making cold calls and constantly filling my pipeline, so that way I can have the revenue to come in, and then I have enough money to hire somebody else to do that, and then scale your business that way. And so we got to this point where we had, I think it was like $3 in our bank account, and I remember going into my bedroom, I hit my knees and prayed, and the very next day we got a phone call that actually brought us here to Texas with a business opportunity. And from that point on, it was just like boom, 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 boom. And we took a few years off of entrepreneurship and just kind of worked a steady job, all the while building our YouTube channel and making connections for this, for Video Marketing World. And yeah,
I want to dig in a little bit deeper though on this moment of you've just had the Mega Blue Box, whatever it was. It failed.
Mega Movie Box.
Got it. Mega Movie Box that are blue.
Yep.
So that's just failed, and you're buried in debt now. What's the emotion that's running through you at that point? What does that feel like? Can you paint a picture?
Yeah, I remember every day feeling anxiety because I would have creditors calling us. and collections calling us. And I felt like I failed my family because we had refinanced our house. We refinanced our house in 2007, and then the market crashed in 2008, and we had all this money tied up in these blue boxes, and we had no money to rely on. We couldn't sell our house because it was completely upside down, and it was just devastating. As a husband and provider, I felt like I need to be doing things, making decisions that increase our potential or increase, our standing in life. And I just felt like a total failure. And it was lots of anxiety.
Yeah, that drive to be a good provider when things go wrong and you feel like you've failed as a provider, it's no longer just like this. It doesn't just feel personal. It feels like you failed your family.
Yeah.
You failed the people around
my
you.
kids, my wife. Yeah.
So that's kind of the rock bottom moment, right?
Yeah.
There's your poop moment.
Yep.
Now take us through how you came out the other side of that and ended up in a gold moment. Okay,
yeah. So again, like my personality I've always been more optimistic in nature. I started early reading books like Power of Positive Thinking, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, even like Robert Kiyosaki, those types of books where you finish the book and you feel motivated to take on life. And so I really wasn't going to let this moment define who I was for the rest of my life. And so I really like dug in and I started reading more, and I started really trying to think more positively. And this is really where my wife and I wrote our first two books. We wrote a children's book first that was all about, it's called The Fox in the Mountain. It's all about this fox who's on this journey to the top of this mountain to find this fruit that is more desirable than any fruit, any food in the valley where he was. And on his journey, he meets people along the way or other animals who are trying to convince him that it's not worth it. And it's based off of the experiences that we heard when we were kind of in that rock bottom and we were trying to grow our way, trying to get, regain some of our footing from our poop moment. And so as it's funny, it's like we were writing this book as we were working on crawling our way out of it. And by the time we were done with the book, we had really, the business opportunity that I came to Dallas for was to run an orthodontic lab. And so it's completely different than anything I'd ever done. But we were really like, we had our footing more secure financially by the time we finished the book. And so it really felt like we were writing our journey as it was happening to us. And it was actually really cool. So from that point on, it was just kind of a series of minor choices that we would make in order to give ourselves a little bit more of an edge or a little bit
more financial footing each time.
Yeah, exactly.
So as you described it, like you're writing your journey as it happening, is it safe to say that like that book couldn't have even been written had you not gone through those dark times and the failures that came with it?
Absolutely. Yeah. The idea for the book came when we were planning on moving to Texas. My wife and I were driving in downtown Boise, Idaho, and this idea came into my head, and I'm like, you know what, we should just start, documenting these things, and here's a cool story that's kind of representative of where we're at and some of the things that we've heard, and then it just kind of blossomed into this beautiful parable, and it was a really, really cool experience.
That's awesome. So you guys write the children's book. Published the children's book. How was it received?
Actually, the children's book was received really well. It's all relative, right? Not like Poop to Gold, because we were self-published. So it was like our friends and family, and then we would go around and talk at schools and things like that. And so we sold a few hundred copies of it, nothing like phenomenal. And then we took the story and turned it into a version for teens and adults, so that way they could have the same principles at a more mature level. And again, it's all relative. We didn't sell very many copies of the book, but I think it meant more to us because it was a piece of us. You know, it didn't matter that we didn't sell 100,000 copies of
Yep.
it. It was more empowering to us to see that, okay, we can accomplish things again. We can do something that we feel good about.
And so as this is happening, are you guys already working on the YouTube channel and kind of documenting the process along the way?
So the YouTube channel actually came as a result of writing the book.
Okay.
Because as soon as we wrote the books, I started going to like Rotary clubs and businesses and then teaching them some of the principles from the books. And so that it's really kind of like, in hindsight, everything was very like, it all makes sense. It seems like it was all this perfect plan that was laid out for us, but there were a lot of choices that we had to make along the way that would open more doors. So I think the point is that in the grand scheme of things, you have, when bad things happen to you, you can take it one of two ways, right? You can either let it break you, or you can stay positive and optimistic and still see opportunity floating around you. Right? When you are down on yourself and you're beating yourself up, the doors kind of close because all you can focus on is lack or what you don't have. And when you focus on that, then even if there's opportunity smacking you in the face, you wouldn't see it because you're so you're so down on yourself. But when you keep that positive perspective and confidence in your abilities, then the opportunity that's floating around you all the time is like, it's right there. You see it, you can take it and roll with it.
One of the things that I've been trying to practice in my life is to actually be grateful for the hard things. Like, so oftentimes we go through just these really tough, crappy situations, and we kind of take on this mentality of like, grin and bear it, or survive it, or just get through it. And I decided to try actually being thankful for it, knowing that those are the moments that define us. Those are the moments that build our character. And those are the moments that shape us for the long term. And so rather than like fight it in the moment and then be grateful for it later, I decided to try to be grateful for it in the moment and be grateful for it later.
I love it.
It sounds kind of subtle, but it's actually made a really big impact on the way that I experience hard things. I feel like they don't stay hard for nearly as long as they used to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can look back and I can see the good that have come out of all of my trials in life. And so when you can do that, you really do that, and you look back on your life, then when you go through a trial, when you eventually get to another trial, you can look at it from a completely different perspective.
That's right. Scott, tell me a little bit about your creative process. Where do the ideas tend to come from, and how do you cultivate those ideas?
So I've always been creative, and when I was a kid, it was kind of stifled a little bit, my creativity, because I was kind of an outlier in my family with my creativity. I was always a little bit more artistic or a little bit more eccentric, and so I didn't embrace my creativity until really I saw it as a strength. And that was really in the last probably 10 or 15 years when I really realized, like, oh, I think differently than a lot of people, and that is for a reason. And once I started embracing that, then ideas just come. Creativity just comes to me. And I really just try to roll with it. And my wife, she's the veto queen. She's like, I'll give her an idea, and she'll be like, no.
She's the
no,
filter.
No. Yeah, for every 100 ideas I have, I get one yes, right? and so that makes it makes our dynamic fun. But she's usually right about the one thing, and also right about the 99 things that aren't going to pan out. So she was all in on Video Marketing World, and I mean, she's running the event right now. She's just an amazing woman. But I think it's kind of a team effort between the two of us. But I need somebody like that in my life, because if I were just by myself thinking up ideas all day long, I'd never get anything done. And my wife is more of the type who is, okay, here, great idea. How do we implement it? How do we roll? What is the structure here? She is an executor. Yeah.
It's a great team.
Absolutely.
Is there a time or a place where ideas tend to flow more freely for you?
Yeah, actually, when I'm mowing the lawn, believe it or
Okay.
not, when I'm mowing the lawn and I'm doing something physical where I'm sweating and there's noise that I can't hear anything else, and I'm just working hard, that's when ideas start to flow.
Yeah, I love it. I've found for myself that going on a hike or going on a drive up the canyon are both phenomenal ways for me to kind of get some headspace and some clarity.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so talk to us about your networking strategies.
Okay, yeah. So I am a firm believer in it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's how I've always operated. So anybody that I speak to is anybody that I form relationships with is it's intentional. Business relationships. And so I every job or every career, every opportunity I've had to bring in like investment capital or anything like that, it's always because I have built a relationship with that person, networked with that person, and really just kind of, I don't want to say like taking advantage of that because that sounds bad, but really like I've utilized my network. And so what I do now, I'm actually a part of a couple of networking groups here in our city, and you just meet a lot of amazing people who have cool stories and also awesome skills that you're like, when I'll have an idea about something, I'll be like, oh yeah, I can call so-and-so. And the more people you know in different areas, doing different things, the easier it is to get things accomplished that are difficult or that require a lot of moving pieces because you know people. You don't necessarily have to ask around for for a specialty skill because you're actively involved and engaged in the community and in a network.
What's the best way for our listeners to follow you and stay in touch?
So here's the thing. I don't recommend following me on YouTube unless they like family vlogs.
Okay.
But I'm all in on LinkedIn right now. So if they want to follow me on LinkedIn, it's, just Scott Simson, and that's Simpson without a P, and,
SIMSON.
SIMSON. Yeah. And that's really where I'm most active.
Okay. Do you have any interesting projects coming down the pipeline that you'd like to give a little sneak peek to our listeners?
We have a few things that are attached to Video Marketing World that we're just about to release. So if anybody's interested in learning more about how to use video to grow their business, then just kind of follow what we're doing there. And we're going to be releasing things in the next little while.
Fantastic. Scott, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you. That's been fun.
It's been great to get to know you a little better. I want to give you a copy of our book, From Poop to Gold.
Awesome. Did you sign it?
I did not write the book, but I would be happy to sign it for you.
Yes,
if you would
please.
like me
Yeah,
to.
please do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And of course, for our listeners, if you haven't already checked out our book, From Poop to Gold, it is a great resource to better understand how we've created a creative culture at Harmon Brothers. So please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, and we'll see you on the next one.